Come on, man.
Weird. This is weird. Getting interviewed by you, bro. I gotta act like I'm getting interviewed by somebody else, cause.
And everybody don't know it, but I feel like a player that got overlooked by somebody or Rod Star, one of the greatest in the game.
Who you?
I am the greatest in the game.
You already got questions?
I got a glare. I got a glare.
On my glasses. I can take them.
If you want to keep them on, that's cool, but it's a little glare when you move in certain directions. But you can work around it.
Nah, if I look straight like this, I'm cool.
Okay.
I gotta act like I'm not getting interviewed by you, bro, cause I be locked in when I get in. Like I be in a different world. I be like acting like I'm already in there.
That's what I want. All right, you ready?
So you want me to respond looking into the camera, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Once again, I told you guys again that we're going to be catching up with some of the best players in Michigan. See where they are, see how their college careers are going. And right now, I'm starting with I've been working a lot with the guys in the MAC Red, so I told you also that we'll catch up with the Harris brothers, and I finally got a chance to catch up with these guys. And so I got Myren Harris. He joined us today. And but of course his high school career, first team in just about every category, one of the prominent running backs in Michigan, obviously under recruited, of course, but he's here with us today, and we're going to talk about his college career. What's good, Myron? What's up, man?
What's going on? Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, absolutely. So let's just cut straight to the chase. But obviously before we jump into the college career, I want to know, how did it affect you that you were being under recruited as a high school player?
I wouldn't necessarily say affected me. It just didn't intensify my drive. Just made me, add that extra chip to my shoulder. Being under recruited. Obviously I felt I deserved, higher looks, but everything happens for a reason. So.
Right. So okay. So you and your brother, you guys were being recruited. You got some, a lot of offers from a lot of D2s and whatnot,
mm-hmm.
but you guys ended up committing to Wayne State. So talk a little bit about that experience. And word out on the street is that they really didn't want you first. Is that true?
Yeah. So that whole story is kind of funny. To make a long story short and a short story quick, Wayne reached out to my brother first, and was getting recruited. I was just kind of like the guy where you just had to take a look at because of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So like I said, everything it just happens for a reason. Ended up panning out for at least a year or like a year and a half or so. But going to Wayne was the best decision at the time, and I just made the most of it. So
sweet. And so but what was the decision? What made you actually say, okay, Wayne State is the place for me?
Ultimately, it just felt like home. Made my family feel, really good. They showed, that they really, wanted us. Just made me feel like, I can come in there and, leave a mark. Ultimately, that's the goal of any athlete, or it should be,
right.
The goal. But, just going in there and just being able to make an impact right away and being able to, is, was vital and huge. And also, the confidence that, my brother had. He committed first. Yeah. And I'm like, if he's messing with it, I am. Because if anybody knows, my brother Miles is very, introverted and very sacred. But when he speaks first, when it comes between, both of us, then, so I just had to, follow his lead on this. So.
Okay. So, and then, so you were playing running back, and Coach Winters, he was also the running back coach, correct?
Yeah.
As well as the head coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So COVID hit, right? Didn't have your regular season and whatnot, in your first year of college. But first of all, how was that transition from high school to college?
To be honest, I can't say that I've either had a welcome to college football moment. Neither have I felt like I truly transitioned. I feel like I was prepared, immensely for college football. Our practice was ran our program was just ran like a college, a Division I, FCS program. So the fact that I had that experience and that confidence and that foundation, going into Wayne helped a lot. It made my transition super easy.
Right.
Being able to speak the lingo and understand, the plays and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I got a chance to. I don't know if you checked it out, but I did get a chance to sit down with Coach Winters and also Coach Duhart from Wayne State.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I did get a chance to interview with those guys, and but they talked and they bragged highly about the guys coming from Chippewa Valley and whatnot, because it was you, Miles, Josh Kulka, Charles, and they talked about how like you guys were some of the best freshmen, if not the best freshmen that they've seen as far as maturity level, understanding the lingo, and the transitioning to college super easy. So.
Yeah, I mean, coming in, that's huge. I feel like that's what, every coach wants. You know what I'm saying? Because, as much as it's a transition for us, it's a transition for them, because they have to, get us acclimated, with the culture and, how they get down with things. But I think just the overall preparation from Chippewa in the football program with, Coach, Darren Ryder, who is our OC, he's a quarterback guru, right, and could break down any defense. Coach Merchant was my running back coach, was also the head coach, but he gave me my foundation over, being a running back and being able to have the best of both worlds, being a quarterback and a running back. I have that, I have Coach, like Darren Ryder and Coach Merchant, in my ear. Right. So the fact that I got the best of both worlds helped me in my understanding of the game. With Coach Washburn, the O-line coach, great coach. Spoke the lingo, broke everything down, made me feel comfortable, taught me the offensive line, lingo. And then Coach Wilson, great. Guy went pro in two sports, baseball and, football. And the fact that he's able to speak the lingo and relate to the kids and bring his energy and passion and make you feel it, all are great things to help you get to that next level. So the fact that we, have, access to resources that most schools don't, right, I believe, which is why, Chippewa's the best without recruiting players, to come to their school. So.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. And the fact that you're able to give them those accolades and you as a player seeing that after you train, while you're in it, but also too now that you're in college, you have a higher level of appreciation for that, But that's why they were bragging on you guys about that. So,
oh yeah.
But so going into college, right? You wanted to play. Oh, yeah. Obviously you wanted to play, but COVID hit. So now let's talk about the 2021 season, right?
Yeah.
And so you were looking forward to that, and now you guys are on the field. You're in practice now, so. And you had to compete for a spot because you weren't the starting running back, right?
No.
Okay. So how was that process, and what type of mentality did you have, and what was that process like?
It was a process. Just more than anything, I feel as if I was prepared for that process. Just because, high school junior year, I got switched to running back from quarterback, and I had to sit behind two running backs, Jamon Kempson, who's been on here, and Andre Chenault, who's at CNA, and he's doing his thing still. Right. So I had to sit behind them. So being able to know how to respond and handle that adversity with sitting behind somebody, whether you believe you're better than them or not, makes you appreciate the game and the opportunities you get a whole lot more, which is why I was able to, just achieve, like what I did. Last year was tough, I'll be lying to you, just say, oh yeah, like it was easy just because of what I accomplished. But, last year was a learning process, for sure.
Okay. So talk to those players for a moment that, that want to get on the field, right? I feel like, I've been watching your whole football career. I feel like you have a way with coaches to the point where like they end up trusting you, and I don't know, whatever it is that you do, you end up, getting, more playing time or getting on the field and whatnot. So like, talk to that player that actually want to get an opportunity, that want to be in the action and want to be on the field, but they don't necessarily know how to handle or finagle that situation to put themselves in the position.
I'm going to leave you with two things.
Okay.
Speaking to that player, I'm going to just leave you with two things. I feel as if you understand these two things, then it'll take you farther than you probably can even, imagine in the sport or let alone in life. I was told this by this one wise man, which is my dad. I was told this quote, that you have to make yourself, like the obvious choice. And I'm going to start with that one just because the harder you work and the more you make yourself undeniable, they can't deny you, whether they like you or not. Like the guy playing in front of me was a fifth-year, returner. In theory, I shouldn't even touch the field. But the fact that my work ethic, my drive, my IQ of the game, my ability and willingness to want to learn, that took me, far. So make yourself the obvious choice. And one thing I'm going to say that's going to sound backwards, but once you understand it, then you understand like what I'm what I'm saying. So with that whole process, embrace sitting. Embrace it. Wow. Because the moment you embrace it means that you accepted it. And the moment that you accepted it, then it allows you to see what you have to work on to be able to be in position to play. Because I'm telling you, like the more you sit there in animosity and pout and and talk about it to your teammates and all that stuff, is the more time you're going to sit being in that same spot. You're going to then become complacent, but with those same feelings as if you want to play, but you're not going to be able to because you haven't looked at the situation for what it was and accepted it. So once you accept it and embrace it, then next thing you know, then you start realizing that, oh, okay, I'm getting this opportunity. Now I'm getting this opportunity. So then you have to make the most of those opportunities. So make yourself the obvious choice and embrace it. And what I mean by embrace it is just take that whole moment as a whole and use it to help it benefit you. Because nothing in life is really a setback. That's what my motto is. Nothing in life is really a setback. It's a setup for what you're being prepared for. Because obviously you're going through that for a reason. So make yourself the obvious choice and embrace it.
Wow, that's good advice. I appreciate that. So your redshirt freshman year. So you're playing behind, a running back or whatnot, and so. Which means that your carries per game your opportunities per game were limited. Mm-hmm. But as the season went on, I noticed that you were getting more and more opportunities. So obviously the opportunities that you had, you took advantage of it.
Right.
So you had a pretty good redshirt freshman year. And what was your numbers? What you finished at?
Well, rushing. No, our purpose. I finished with 1,028 and 9 touchdowns.
Okay, wow.
With 7 or 8 yards per carry.
And you didn't start?
No.
Wow. So, okay. And so, so you really set the stage, for your redshirt freshman year, giving a lot of people, something to look forward to for the next season or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And you finished out with, you finished out at, was it what is it in D2? The first team
All-GLIAC.
First team All-GLIAC, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that was pretty impressive as a redshirt freshman.
Oh yeah.
So how did that make you feel, and how was that sense of accomplishment?
To be honest, felt like I was supposed to do that. I did it in high school, and my theory is I should be able to perform like that on all levels. The fact that I was able to do that just shows my worth and value to a coach and to a program. Shows you the effect that I can have on a program. Whether I get the ball 20 times or 2 times. My thing was, what I meant by embrace it earlier, I embraced the fact that, okay, there will be games I might get the ball 10, 5, 2 times, or even 20 times. But the times that I am going to get the ball, I'm going to make the most out of it. So just being able to accomplish that is a huge blessing. I mean, our O-line up front, like 2 guys started like 40 games. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some crazy, like that. They were all conference 4 years in a row. Played, been there for 5 or 6. Had, looks to go to the league. So being able to run behind, vets and understanding legal and hear their IQ of the game was huge. And it played a lot to my success last year.
And also too, like you were being mentored too. You had a Joyke Bell that was actually there. And people were comparing you to him a lot or whatnot, but Joyke Bell played at Wayne State, went to the NFL, had a nice career in the NFL and things like that. But you ended up breaking his record too as a redshirt freshman, eh?
Mm-hmm. Being compared to greats, such as Joyke Bell is huge. Right. It just lets me know what they think of me and what they think that I can be. Right. But being able to, hear his mind and, nitpick certain stuff, like from his game and hear his IQ or his, look over the game helped me a lot too. Being able to I wouldn't necessarily, let's say, like have that pro mindset, but have that more just advanced, mindset and approach to the game.
Right.
Like help me understand things and process things, a lot faster, especially, as a youngin. So.
Right. Wow. That's pretty impressive, man. So, so you finished out strong in that season, but you ended up getting hurt though.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, you was having a great game against Northwood, and you end up getting hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tearing your meniscus a little bit or whatnot, and you end up needing surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So leading into how did you deal with that injury? What was your mindset, and how did you get yourself back to where you need to be?
Well, I think just being constantly reminded by my parents and my family that I've been through this process before. In high school, I played my senior year on the torn meniscus the whole season. So being able to have a partially torn meniscus, like it sucked, but mentally I was already prepared because I had the worst type of tear that you could possibly have back in high school. So the fact that it was just a little small tear, just a small setback. So I was able to mentally overcome it quicker and be able to be in the mindset of where I was coming out of my surgery in my senior year. So, dealing with that injury really wasn't as big as some may think that it was. But, obviously it took a mental toll, but I was able to overcome it faster. Just, being able to be, through that process, like before. So.
For sure. Glad to see you back. And, but also too, like, during that process, let's fast forward a little bit. So the next season, right? So now you got through your injury. You had your great redshirt freshman year. You got through the injury. Now you at the next season, and a lot of people are looking forward to seeing, a continuation of what you actually started as a redshirt freshman, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, breaking records and stuff like that, over 1,000 yards, and but it was a rough start. And the record was pretty much the same because you guys finished out, I think, 8-2.
No, 1-9.
Well, I'm talking about the
previous season,
freshman year. Yeah, it was like 8-2, wasn't it?
No, our record was 1-9.
Really?
Yeah.
1-9. Okay.
No, 1-9.
Okay. And, yeah. Well,
I'm 1-10. No, 2-9. My bad. Our record,
2-8 or something.
No, 2-9. It was 2-9.
Yeah.
And then the following year was 1-9.
Okay. Yeah. Which was the season that you just had. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of what was your numbers this past season? What was that like?
There was a difference.
Okay.
My numbers weren't as good as they were last year. Okay. I finished out with like 680-something yards with 7 touchdowns. Last year I had 11 touchdowns total. This year I only had 7. Only thing that I would say that my numbers stayed the same were my receiving yards. And, I was still second or third on the team with receiving yards.
Right.
But my numbers weren't as good as they were last year.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people was puzzled at that. A lot of people was puzzled at that because the stage was set for you to have a really good season and for Wayne to have a really good season as well. So, but during that process, it seemed like something was happening, man. And outside looking in, it just didn't look too good. Then, you finish up the season. Then Coach Winters, your head coach, your running back coach, ends up getting fired. So, but then also too, you're currently you're no longer at Wayne State.
Yeah.
So, what happened? Like how did you get to the point of how did you get to the point of transferring to another college, taking advantage of the transfer portal, and but nobody saw that coming, and Coach Winters getting fired. Like, did you guys? How was your relationship with Coach Winters? Let me start there.
My relationship with Coach Winters was pretty good. It wasn't the typical, player-coach, relationship as far as it being that deep and feeling, super connected to your coach. But it was good enough to be able to last in that environment. Okay. What led me to that decision was just ultimately I want to win and be a part of a culture, because ultimately when you have a culture that wants to win, then that's the standard. And I believe that wasn't the standard that way. Unfortunately, we were super young, and we had to start from the ground up. And with my, eligibility, I have 2 years left. I don't have time to, play or, be a part of something like that. So my thing is I need to be a part of something that's ready to win now. You know what I mean? And ultimately, that's why I decided to transfer. I loved every bit of, being that way, and I was able to have success that way. And I thank Wayne for, letting me, come in there and, flourish my talents and, put me on the right stage and compete against, some good teams. But ultimately, I need to be somewhere better.
Okay. So, and that's fair. But, like, a lot of people say that there were a lot of red flags, going into the situation. I mean, I get a lot of parents talking to me. I get players jumping into my DMs, and and I also talk to coaches too. But a lot of people saying that there were red flags, like when Coach Wooster recruited you, right? Recruited you and your brother. Then when you got there, Coach Wooster was gone. Coach Duhart left, right? Then there was another guy that coach that left and went to the Ravens.
Coach P,
right?
Yeah.
And we know that coaches come and go, whatever, but like when you see a guy like Coach Wooster who put blood, sweat, and tears into the program that's been there for, forever and probably next up, that didn't like send a red flag to you?
Kind of, just because of the relationship that they portrayed that they had. They were supposedly, best friends, and obviously, some eyebrows are going to be raised, when a decision that drastic is made with somebody that important to a program. But I'm not one to really speak on that topic or what really happened, because I honestly I don't know. I haven't talked to either of them to really get a good assessment of that. But all I know is when we play them, Coach Winter's made it a point to not that he's not going to say anything to Coach Wooster. You know what I mean? Or
right.
He made it more personal. Than it being just a business. If you're truly best friends, then you would understand why he made the move. But at the same time, obviously there's something deeper to it that I can't speak on because I don't know. So.
Right. So when did you realize that you needed to? When did you realize and you got confident? Like, I need to leave. I need to go. Like were you receiving? Like, were there signals? Like, in some instances, I know, like, I've heard in the past that some coaches make it uncomfortable for you to be there. You know what I mean? And so, like, did you see any of those signals or anything like that? Like, when did you know, like, I got to get out of here? I was just uncomfortable there. It wasn't the same love and respect that was mutual. It was more like, gonna treat me like I'm, trailer park trash, but I'm still producing for the team. It would have been different if I wasn't still producing. I ended up leading the team in touchdowns. You know what I mean? So obviously I'm producing in the way that we need to produce so that we can be in positions to win. But I think ultimately when I didn't perform the way that I did last year, that made them, just decrease my value a little bit. You know what I mean? To get to a little bit of it, we had a young goal line this year. I mentioned earlier that running behind two vets, you know what I mean, on the at tackles, which are key positions, and we had a senior at center, so that can speak the lingo. Having those three vets there played a huge part. That's the three main biggest parts of the offense: the tackles and the center. Or offensive line. So the fact that I had that and I didn't have that this year played a huge role, because it increased my role to help the younger guys feel that they can play on this level and that they can block, for a guy like me and to be able to perform on this level. But, things pan out, the way they do for a reason. If anybody knows anything about football, it's hard to be successful with a young 5-man front. And that's with anything, That's why you see when you go to most powerhouse of schools, our freshmen are redshirted, maybe except for the skill positions, because that's a little bit easier. But with the vital pieces, like I said, just the O line, they're essential, because that's where the game is won and lost up front, and that's where an area that we lacked the most. But ultimately, I just didn't feel comfortable there no more. I felt like the culture there. I felt like there wasn't a culture. I felt as if sometimes the players had more say so and control, than the coaches did. I don't know. It was just that time for me to leave. So was it during the season or after the season that you realized I need to go?
It was during the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how many players ended up transferring from Wayne? Like going into the portal?
Well, 5 went into the portal. 1 hopped out of the portal when Coach Winters got fired.
Right.
But 5 ended up entering the portal. But 4 left. Me, my brother, Myren Perkins, and Elijah Taylor. So 4 of us left and are going to different schools now. Oh, actually, one person just entered the transfer portal. The star linebacker, Julius Wilkerson, he just entered the portal too. So he's seeing what he can get, and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Wow. So, man. So while you were but you entered the portal before Coach Winters ended up getting fired.
Yeah.
And so like, was he surprised that that you were going into the portal? Like, you told him that hey, you had that conversation with him. Did you have that conversation with him, or?
Yeah, it was interesting, to say the least. Interesting in an uncomfortable way. When I went and had that conversation with him, there was truly no. There was no fight. Like, there was no relationship there. He treated me like it was a business, and he just told me just keep him updated. Like, there was no fight or say so to keep me there. If anything, he just let me leave. It almost seemed as if he didn't care. So I felt as at that point, because I asked him like what happened to our relationship. You know what I mean? Because I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that anymore. But yeah, so it was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously if you go back and watch my interview with Coach Winters, he spoke highly about you and your brother, and said how much love he has for you guys and things like that. And so that's definitely surprising to hear and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising to go through that whole thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, I thought we had a good relationship. I thought our relationship was going places and going far, but I guess things just happen. You know what I mean? And some people are just different. Some people are hard to understand. Some people are hard to communicate with. And I feel as if when being a coach in a player relationship, let alone a position coach, let alone the head coach in a player relationship, I feel like that needs to be better than the average player-coach relationship. Just because he's the reason why you're there in the first place, because of what he's doing with the program.
Right.
So.
Well, you talked about. You kind of said it a few times that you didn't feel comfortable. Like it felt different. Was that just from Coach Winters, or was it from players or other coaches, or?
It was mainly from Coach Winters. A little bit from a couple coaches on the coaching staff, but it wasn't as big. It wasn't as big as it was with Coach Winters. Hearing some stuff from some players about what's being said in some meetings, and
oh wow,
yeah, and hearing that stuff raises some eyebrows. Saying, especially when you're hearing it from people that are on the same side of the ball as you.
So whoa. So wait a minute. So you're telling me that there were instances where players were basically coming back and telling you that Coach Winters was practically bad-mouthing you?
Or not to name names or say that it was specifically someone. All I heard through the grapevine that is that they were, and through certain actions with certain interactions with coaches,
wow.
that was seemed to be true. So
wow.
Yeah, so ultimately it was just my time to go.
Right.
I'm glad, I'm happy with that decision. Extremely happy with that decision, to say the least. Right. I love Wayne State. Thank you for the opportunity, but I mean, life. I believe life is all about changes. Just like time change, people change, and things change. So
right.
It was time to make that change.
So you jumped into the portal,
mm-hmm.
and you got some you had some interest, right?
Yeah.
A few D1s was reaching out to you, whatnot, but
mm-hmm.
you wasn't really serious, whatnot. So you ain't had time to wait. So you made a move, and
mm-hmm.
You at Davenport, which surprised a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what was it about Davenport, and why did you choose Davenport, bro?
Ultimately, I just feel like Davenport is the place to be.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Being that they have a great culture there, I have some, people on that team that played on the team and that were all conference players, and if they love it there, right. I should love it there. Oh. And Coach Sparky McEwen, I mean, his coaching staff is great. What he brings to the table, his energy, I love it.
Yeah,
what I mean? Yeah, Coach of the Year. Programs. To say the least, this right here speaks volume. The program has been in Division II for, I think, 5 or 6, going on 6 years now, and the fact that he's able to become Coach of the Year before he even hits a decade huge. Speaks volume to what he's huge. Doing with the program. So my thing was, I put in my post, what makes sense to me doesn't have to make sense to you. So when I committed to Davenport, it made sense to me. Obviously, I thought I was going to D1, but obviously, God has a bigger plan for me. And the fact that I feel secure, safe, and I feel as if this is the right decision, or I know it is the right decision. I think ultimately making that decision was, rather, easy to go to Davenport.
Wow.
Out of all the schools I had talking to me. So.
Wow. Oh, that's what's up. That makes sense. That makes sense to me, and I like what you said. What makes sense to me don't have to make sense to you, and you're confident about the decision. Davenport is it's a great program. They're doing great things over there, and much success to you in that program. So let me ask you this: what can we expect from you this season at Davenport? What can we expect from you?
A player with a bigger chip on my shoulder. I naturally play with that chip on my shoulder, but this chip is a little different. Given that once again I was overlooked or underlooked, in a sense. You can expect the same thing, if not more or better. An explosive, running back, a home run hitter, a playmaker. I can play anywhere on offense, and contribute massively. So you can just expect that, high energy, high character player, leader, player that can put the team on his back, and also take a step back and allow, whoever has a high hand to, do what they have to do. So ultimately, teams come first, and then, so I'll do whatever I have to do to, help the team. So you can expect a player that's just going to go out there and give his all.
What advice last question, what advice do we have for players that may have been in a similar situation as you, and things just felt different, and wanted to make a move, but was afraid to do it, and they want a better platform for themselves as well. Like, so what advice would you give to that person?
I'm gonna say this right here: no one has your career in their best interest the way that you will have it, right? So, like, granted, coaches, love to recruit you, say all these good things, but, kind of just like, like the fans, when you're performing, they love you, and when you're not, they don't. So the fact of the matter is when making certain decisions, you have to make decisions for yourself and think about yourself and make sure that you're putting yourself in positions so that way you can have a good career or get the opportunities that you want. You can't be afraid to make those decisions, because when you if you being afraid to make that decision, almost let you know that you are going to make the right decision. Because if you aren't scared to make a risky decision or a decision as big as entering the transfer portal, the fact that you even got to that point lets you know that, something might be there. So just stay the course and stay true to yourself, and make sure that you're putting yourself in positions and in programs and in cultures to where you can see not only like your game flourishing and excelling, but you become a man as well. So just stay the course and make sure you put you first, in the sense of making sure that you're being put in positions to make sure that you're being maximized to the best of your ability.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Listen, man, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
For the new year, and no doubt, and hopefully we can have you back too. We want to catch up with you and keep you tab on your career. And so, we'll get started with Davenport. We'll check back in with you and see how things are going and whatnot. And we're gonna stay in touch with that, man. Thank you for spending some time with us today, man. Happy New Year to you, and much success to you in your career.
Yeah, thank you, man. Stay tuned. Not done yet, man.